I recently rescued a tiny, helpless kitten. He was abandoned, freezing cold, and barely clinging to life. Definitely not the start any little furball should have. The moment I found him, I knew I couldn't just leave him behind. He was so small, so fragile, and you could see how much he needed someone. So, I made the decision right then and there to keep him as my own. No more cold streets for him. He was going to have a family, a safe home, and all the love I could give. I rushed him to the vet, terrified that it might be too late. I'll never forget the feeling of relief when they told me he was stable and they could help him recover. From that moment, I became his full-time caregiver. I set up a special little room just for him, cozy, warm, and safe. But I knew that I couldn't just be a place to crash for him. I had to be the best foster parent I could be. I spent hours learning everything I could about caring for a kitten. Feeding schedules, the right kind of toys, even proper nap times. I wanted to make sure he had everything he needed to grow strong and healthy. Every day, I would shower him with attention. It didn't take long for him to wiggle his way into my heart. He wasn't just a kitten anymore, he was my kitten. And trust me, he definitely grew on me. I was falling in love more and more every day. Last night, like every night, I followed our usual bedtime routine. I gently placed him on my bed, which is elevated just enough to keep him safe. He was still so tiny, he couldn't get down by himself, and I didn't want to risk him hurting himself while I wasn't looking. It became a sort of ritual. I'd set him up in his little corner of the bed, surrounded by warmth and love. Then, while he settled in, I would get everything ready for the night. I'd feed him, making sure his belly was full and content. Then I'd fill up 2 bottles with warm water, wrapping them in soft towels and placing them near his bed. It was my way of ensuring he stayed warm through the night. Kittens that young, especially one who had been through so much, needed that extra bit of comfort, that little bit of security to drift off peacefully. After all, at just 5 weeks old, he was still so vulnerable. Everything was going smoothly, just like any other night, until one small, unexpected moment changed everything. After filling the 2-liter bottle with warm water in the bathroom, I turned around to grab the sock to wrap it up. The bottle was still slick from the water, and before I even realized what was happening, it slipped right out of my hand. It felt like time slowed down as I watched the bottle tumble toward the floor. It bounced once, and to my utter shock and horror, on the second bounce, it hit my baby kitten. My heart stopped. I couldn't believe what just happened. In that instant, I froze, terrified that I had hurt him. I rushed to him, panic building in my chest, hoping, praying that he wasn't seriously injured. It felt like the world went quiet as I checked him over. Was he okay? Was he hurt? What was going on? I was absolutely terrified. The moment it hit, I didn't even realize he was there. It was his first time. His very first time, getting off the bed on his own and following me into the bathroom. I never imagined he would be there, so I never thought for a second that something like this could happen. At first, I thought the bottle had only pushed him. Maybe it just startled him. But as soon as I looked closer, my heart shattered. I saw him fall to the ground, and then, to my horror, he started twitching. It lasted only about 10 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. And then, just like that, he was still. He passed away. I went completely numb. Part of me died in that moment too. I couldn't process what had just happened. One minute, I was taking every precaution to keep him safe, and the next, I was holding a lifeless kitten in my arms. I was bawling uncontrollably, not knowing what to do. It felt like the whole world had just stopped. I had already imagined him growing up, becoming my best friend, being there with me through thick and thin. But in the blink of an eye, all of those dreams, all of those hopes, were gone. Just like that. Just last night, I was about to put my sweet little angel to sleep. I had gotten him all settled in, wrapping him up snugly in his little blanket, giving him a soft kiss on the head, and watching him curl up peacefully. He looked so safe and content, just like any other night. I never once thought that would be the last time I'd get to do that. And now, here I am, standing in that same room, needing to bury him and take away all the things that made it his little space. His bed, his litter box, his toys. But I just don't have the strength to start. It's like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. It's hard to even look at his toys. his little scratching post, his bed. These things were filled with memories, filled with love. I can almost hear his tiny little meows and feel the warmth of his little paws as he snuggled up to me. But now, they're just reminders of what I've lost. I've been sitting here, staring at these things, but I can't bring myself to remove them. The thought of packing it all away just feels like I'm erasing him from existence, and I don't want to do that. But what makes it even worse is that I feel like no one truly understands. When I tell people what happened, they just brush it off. "Oh, you'll be fine," they say. "It's just a kitten." But it's not just a kitten. He wasn't just a pet. He was a living, breathing part of my life, my family. I spent hours learning how to care for him, how to make him feel safe and loved. And I thought I was doing it right. So to lose him like this, it feels like a part of me is gone too. Like I've failed him. And that guilt, that sense of responsibility, I can't shake it. I keep asking myself, what if I had done something different? What if I had been more careful? What if I had noticed he wasn't on the bed? It's that haunting thought that I can't get out of my mind, and I don't think I'll ever stop blaming myself. If I had just been more aware, maybe he'd still be here. Maybe we'd be having a different story to tell right now. It's a strange thing, grief. It hits you in waves, sometimes when you least expect it. There are moments when I'm reminded of him in the simplest things, like when I walk past his bed or hear a soft purring sound from the other room, and for just a split second, I expect him to be there. And then the reality hits me all over again, and I'm reminded that he's gone. I know it will take time to heal. I know I'll eventually be able to look at his things without feeling like my heart is being ripped out. But right now, it's hard to even imagine that. It feels like the pain is going to last forever. Rest in peace, my tiny baby. I will never forget you. You may be gone, but you'll always have a place in my heart. And in time, I'll learn to live with this loss. But you'll always be my sweet little angel. And I'll carry you with me in my memories, always. As I sit here now, trying to piece my emotions back together, I realize something. Love is fragile, just like life. It reminds me that no matter how much care we give, how much we try to protect the ones we love, life can still throw us a curveball. And that's the hardest part, knowing we can't control everything, no matter how much we wish we could. This experience has taught me a heartbreaking yet valuable lesson. If you have a pet, a loved one, or anyone who depends on you, hug them a little tighter tonight. Make time for those extra cuddles, those little moments you might otherwise take for granted, because you never know when they might be your last.